Boker Tov, everyone. Boker Tov. We're about to start Shacharit Shel Shabbat. We invite you to open your Sidurim on page 186. I think 86. No. I invite all of you to open your Sidurim and to try to find, as we come together in prayer, some moment of connection. It doesn't matter how old you are. We all have a soul. And our soul is ageless. So when we pray, we try to find some time to dedicate attention to our souls. I hear all the conversation around. I would ask also the Gavaim, we can give jobs later. Now, Mark, Laila, I will ask you to switch into prayer mode. Let's do it. Page 186.
מודעני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחזרת בי נשמתי וחמלה. מודעני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחזרת בי נשמתי וחמלה. רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך. מודעני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחזרת בי נשמתי וחמלה. מודעני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחזרת בי נשמתי וחמלה. רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך.
רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך. I offer thanks to you, ever-living sovereign, that you have restored my soul to me in mercy. How great is to have your trust. We are on page 192. We say, Ma tovu alecha Yaakov, as we enter this space and as we create a communal space, we acknowledge the beauty of this home that we build together. Ma tovu alecha Yaakov, משכנותיך ישראל, ואני ברוב חסדך אבוא ביתך, אשתחווה לך על קודשך ביראתך. אדוני אהבתי מאוד ביתך ומקום משכן כבודך, מה נשתחווה בחרב עלך לפני אדוני עושי, ואני תפילתי לך אדוני את רצון אלוהים ברוב חסדך, ענני באמת אישך. I invite you to turn your Sidurim to page 194 and to take a moment to think about your body, to try to acknowledge different parts of your body that might need some special attention, to focus on your breath for a moment. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר יצר את האדם בחוכמה. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of the world, creator of the universe. You have made us, our existence, with wisdom. And as we think of our own bodies, we take a moment to take a deep breath. Can you take a deep breath? Hold it for a moment and breathe out. And we say, Baruch ata Adonai, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות.
Amen.
On page 196 for the blessing for our souls.
אלוהי, נשמה שנתת בי, טהורי, אלוהי, נשמה שנתת בי, טהורי, אתה בראת, אתה יצרת, אתה נפחת בי, ואתה משמרה בקרבי, ואתה עתיד לתלה ממני ולהחזירה בי לתדלה בו. כל הזמן שהנשמה בקרבי, מודה אני לפניך. כל הזמן שהנשמה בקרבי, מודה אני לפניך. אדוני אלוהי ואלוהי אבותיי, אדוני אלוהי ואלוהי אמותיי, ריבון כל המעשים, אדון כל הנשמות, ריבון כל המעשים, אדון כל הנשמות. אלוהי, נשמה שנתת בי, טהורה היא.
Source of all creation, sovereign of all souls, praise are you, Adonai, whose hand is every living soul, and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai asher biyado nefesh kol chai, beruach kol basar ish. We turn our Sidurim to page 198 for the blessings, for the daily miracles, for Birkot HaShachar. And as we do so, I invite you to think for a moment about a miracle, a blessing that you encounter in your daily routine, something that you are grateful for. Can you think of something you are grateful for? Can you think of something you are grateful for? I'd like to ask the additional voices not to be now sounded. Thank you. Bread. What else? What are you grateful for? Let's bring up more things into a room. Coffee. Tea. Waking up in the morning, that's something to be grateful for. So, and as we turn to Birkot HaShachar, we think of all those blessings, all those things that we have every day, that we sometimes take for granted, but they make us be who we are and make our lives better and easier. So I want you to be aware that some of these blessings, they're about our body. So if you want to move your body a little bit when we are doing them, I will be guiding you so you can do so. So if you are, for example, experiencing some lower back pain, one of these blessings is about stretching a little bit and about extending your legs. So it's a great opportunity. Page 198.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night.
And for the possibility to learn new things, to open our eyes, our hearts, and learn new things. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech
Try to
haolam,
extend your body.
who frees the captive.
You can stretch a little bit, your body in general. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Now your lower back. Who lift up the fallen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters.
It's about our legs. We start moving our legs a little bit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked.
Melvish Arumim, who help us also enter this world without embarrassment and to be self-confident. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, anoten layaef koach, who can give me the energy to start this day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes and slumber from the eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
melech haolam, שעשני בצלם אלוהים. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני
Eloheinu melech haolam, שעשני בן חורים. Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני
Eloheinu melech haolam, שעשני ישראל. Amen. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עושה לישראל בגבורה. Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוטר ישראל בתפארה.
Amen. And every morning we read the blessing for the study of Torah as a reminder of our commitment to stick to our values, to engage in the things that are important to us, and that sometimes we we forget because we are too busy, because we are too focused in what we have to do, but we forget to do what we actually need to do. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו לעסוק בדברי תורה. Oh Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, melamed Torah le'amo Israel. I'd like to invite Ari. Can you read for us on page 206 the entire text in English? These are the things right there, that one. Yeah. After reading these words of wisdom, thank you, Ari. We will turn our Sidurim to page 212 for the blessing for the Psukei de Simra.
Baruch Shamar v'haya olam Baruch Hu Baruch Shamar Baruch Choseh Bereshit Baruch Omer Ve'oseh Baruch Oseh U'mekayem Baruch Merachem על הארץ, ברוך מרחם על הבריות, ברוך משלם, צלחת טוב לרעם, ברוך האלוהים, וקיים לנצח, ברוך בורא ומציל, ברוך הוא, ברוך שמו, איי, 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 איי. Yay, lay, 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 yay, lay, 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 lay.
With songs of praise we extol you and proclaim your sovereignty, for you are the source of life in the universe. One God, life of the universe, praise and glorious ruler. Your name is eternal. מלך מהולל, בתשבחות, מלך מהולל, בתשבחות, ברוך אתה, אדוני, מלך מהולל, בתשבחות. Then our Sidurim to page 214, the Psukei de Simra. In Shabbat, Matchilim, they start with Psalm 92, and the words are very easy. Mizmor Shir, can you say Mizmor Shir?
Mizmor Shir?
Let's sing a song, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. Leyom?
Leyom
HaShabbat.
HaShabbat.
So everything's about the melody. We just say Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat.
מזמור שיר, שיר ליום השבת. 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 ליום השבת. מזמור מזמור שיר, שיר 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 ליום השבת.
Page 215, the top of page 215. Whether you follow along the words of Ashrei on page 215, or you take a moment for personal meditation, we invite you to think of what makes you feel joy. What's the meaning of joy, of contentment in your life? The bottom of page 216. תהילת אדוני ידבר פי ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם לעולם באל אנחנו נברך יה מעתה בעד עולם. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. תהילת אדוני ידבר פי ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם לעולם באל ואנחנו נברך יה מעתה ועד עולם. הללויה, הללויה, הללויה. אנחנו נברך יה מעתה ועד עולם. הללויה, הללויה, הללויה. כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללו, הללויה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללו, הללויה, הללו, 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 page 219, נשמת כל חי, תברך את שמך, אדוני, אלוהינו ברוח כל בשר תפארת את רומן זכרך מלכנו תמיד. Master of all generations, who is praised in a multitude of praises, who guides the world with abundant loving kindness and all creatures with mercy. Adonai neither slumbers nor sleeps. God awakens the sleeping, arouses those who slumber, gives speech to the mute. God loosens the bonds of captives, God supports the fallen, and strengthens those who are bent over. You alone do we acknowledge. On page 220.
מילופינו מלא שיר הקיים, ולשוננו רינה, בידינו פרוסות כנשרי שמיים, ורגלינו קלות כיהלוץ. מילופינו מלא שיר הקיים, ולשוננו רינה, בידינו פרוסות כנשרי שמיים, ורגלינו קלות כיהלוץ. אין אנחנו מספיקים להודות לך, ולברך את שמך מלכנו. אין אנחנו מספיקים להודות לך, ולברך את שמך מלך מלכי המלכים, מלך מלכי המלכים, מלך מלכי המלכים. מלא שיר הקיים, ולשוננו רינה, בידינו פרוסות כנשרי שמיים, ורגלינו קלות כיהלוץ. מלא שיר הקיים, ולשוננו רינה, בידינו פרוסות כנשרי שמיים, ורגלינו קלות כיהלוץ.
With all my bones exclaim, who is like you, Adonai? Bless Adonai, O my soul, and let my inner being praise your holy name. We are on page 222.
שוכן עד מרום וקדוש שמו, וכתוב רננו צדיקים באדוני, לישרים נאווה תהילה, בפי ישרים תתהלל, ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ומקלות ליבות עמך בית ישראל, ברינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו, בכל דור ודור. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול והקדוש, בשמיים ובארץ. כי לך נאה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, שושבחה אלה וזמרה, עוז וממשלה, נצח גדולה גבורה, תהילה ותפארת, קדושה ומלכות. ברכות והודות מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך מלכי העולמים. יתגדל ויתקדש שמרבה, בעלמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יש מרבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן ועלמה ואמרו אמן.
Please rise for Baruch. The blessed God open the gates to Shabbat. As we enter the Baruch, we take a moment to think of our community. We take a moment to think of the diversity of our community, the gift of the diversity of our community as the most beautiful representation of the unity of God. As we look around and we acknowledge the need for a minyan in order to say Baruch, we acknowledge our need for each other, our need for community.
Baruch hu et Adonai, Yalalai, 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 HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed. יוצא לאור ברך חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל, המאיר לארץ, ולדרים עליה ברחמים. How numerous are your works, Adonai. In wisdom you formed them all, filling the earth with your creatures. We praise, Adonai, our God, for the excellent work of your hands, and for the lights you created, may they glorify you. Shine a new light upon Zion. Help us, let us recognize new opportunities in times of darkness, that we all may swiftly merit its radiance. Praise are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. Baruch ata Adonai, יוצר המאורות. אבל רבה אהבתנו אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ויתרה חמלת עלינו. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us surpassing compassion. Enlighten our eyes, ועינינו בתורתך, with your Torah. Help us focus our minds in what's important. We are so often so distracted. We are so often so busy with things that are so irrelevant. We spend so much time in nothingness. Think about how much time we spend watching TV. Not that watching TV is bad, but it's too much. Think about how much time we spend being frustrated or complaining about things. As we get closer to the Shema, we have to find center. We have to find focus. We ask to find ourselves as opposed to keep ourselves distracted with something else that might be entertaining but irrelevant. We ask to find meaning and relevance. Guide us from the four corners of the earth and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You chose us truly. You drew us near to your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Baruch atah Adonai, abocher be'amo Israel, be'ahava. Page 232. Shema
Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
So, Havaya children, do you feel that you're ready to help us and lead the chanting of Be'afta? Are they ready? We'll do it together. Please rise. We're going to chant Be'afta and then we're going to send you back to school. Let's do it together. Open your Sidurim on page 234. Are you ready? Stand up. Come on. Come on. Help me out with that. I don't know. Let me see if we remember together. Be'afta
את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך
ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלפתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על משושות ביתך ובשעריך. We're on page 236, in the middle of page 236 in English.
Adonai said to Moses as follows, "Speak to the Israelite people and instruct them to make for themselves fringes on the corners of their garments throughout the ages. Let them attach a cord of blue to the fringe at each corner. That shall be your fringe. Look at it and recall all the commandments of Adonai and observe them, so you do not follow your heart and eyes in your lustful urge. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. אמת ביציב באהוב. ביי חוויה, we love you. נבדיר בטוב ביפה, אבל עשה עלינו לעולם בהת. אלוהי עולם מלכנו, צור יעקב מגן אישנו לדור ודור. אוקיי, משהו. תהילות לאל עליון, ברוך ומבורך, משה ומרים, and all Bnei Israel, all the children of Israel, responded to you with song, all of them proclaiming, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, who is like you, O God. We are on page 240.
Mi chamocha ba'elim כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, שירה חדשה שיבחו גאונים לשמחה שפת הים, שירה חדשה שיבחו גאונים לשמחה שפת הים, יחד כולם עולו המליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם בארץ, צור ישראל תורה וזאת ישראל ונעמך יהודה וישראל, עלינו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל, ילאי לאי לאי היי לאי 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 ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל.
As we conclude תפילת הגאולה, ברכת הגאולה, the blessing for redemption, we turn our sidurim to page 242 for תפילת עמידה. As we recite all its blessings, we try to find center, we try to find focus. We acknowledge our dispersion, we acknowledge our distraction, and we ask for connection.
אדוני, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, כמה חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכה חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוליד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומציל אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך בהמית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. מדמנת על החיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה המתים.
לנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Grant peace. Goodness and blessing, grace, kindness and mercy to us and to all your people Israel. We're on page 258.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. חן וחסד, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ממלך. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה.
ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל. בשלום, blessed are you Adonai, who makes people for your people Israel, but peace for your people Israel. Amen. We turn our Sidurim to page 362 in order to start the Torah service. אין כמוך באלוהים
אדוני ואין כמעשיך, מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה.
Yerushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kdushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlul Adonai iti oneromema Shemo yachdav. Mipiel u'mipiel yevarach kol Yisrael. Mipiel u'mipiel yevarach kol Yisrael. En adir k'Adonai ve'en baruch k'ven Amram. En gedola k'Torah ve'en nashaneha k'Yisrael. Mipiel u'mipiel yevarach kol Yisrael. Mipiel u'mipiel yevarach kol Yisrael.
You may be seated. It's okay. Start picking. Don't worry. Don't worry. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Good job.
I see that we lost our people on Facebook, on YouTube. They are there, but they are not there. Oh, okay. I'm so glad you're here. I got preoccupied. Well, now I'm kind of giving you my back, right? I'm actually looking at you. Zach is taking care of that. Okay, good. Parashat Bo is one of, in my opinion, one of the most foundational Torah portions in the entire Torah. Lots of things happen in this Torah portion, and there's something that starts happening which is very interesting. Maybe kind of going back a little bit to the conversation that Torah study was having this morning. Any idea of what happens? And if you are in Zoom, please, can you allow everybody to unmute so they can freely speak? And then make sure that you mute yourself once again. But what are the main happenings of Parashat Bo? Plagues, okay. How many plagues? The last three, good. The last three, good. Between Mark and Melissa. What else? Pharaoh hardens his heart. And?
We're given the rules to observe Pesach.
Wait, I need to, Zaki will need a microphone here because otherwise the people in Zoom won't be able to speak and then they will unmute themselves. So Steve is saying that, is it Steve? Is that your voice? I didn't see you.
We're given the rules of how to observe Pesach.
We are given the rules of how to observe Pesach. Good. Anything else, friends? God creates. He makes miracles happen. Well, that's in the context of the plagues. Yes. Any other miracle you have in mind?
We're also given the rules regarding the firstborn.
Well, but just going back a moment to what Melissa said, it's actually, they're called signs. Yes, we don't address them as miracles, but this totem of them, this all these signs that Moshe will show to Pharaoh in order to establish its leadership, and the last three plagues are in that context, absolutely. And Steve is talking about the firstborn. What were you saying, Steve?
We're given the rules regarding the firstborn.
Correct. Okay, so there are a bunch of topics, and the I'll tell you that, in my opinion, two of the most important ones we didn't mention. As a happy I'm here. So I want to share a few things. And maybe not as much as a Dvar Torah, but way more as a little bit of a reflection around Parashat Bo. I think there's an interesting Torah. The first thing is that, interestingly enough, how many mitzvot we have in the Torah until this Torah portion? I mentioned that in Torah study today. We have 613 mitzvot total. 613 total. But until this Torah portion, right, we are all the way through the book of Genesis, and this is the third Torah portion in the book of Shemot, of Exodus. How many mitzvot we have at the moment that we enter this Torah portion? Before we start in this Torah portion. Give a guess. 120, 50, how many? 50, okay. 10. Okay, we have so we have all the way from 120 to 10. 3. We have 3 mitzvot until this moment. One of them is given to us in the first Torah portion. Melissa and John, you help with that mitzvah twice. Noga and I, we helped 3 times. So, prove verbu. Go forth and multiply, right? Good. So that's the first mitzvah. The first mitzvah is fill the earth. Go multiply and fill the earth. Number 1. Second mitzvah. What? No. But interesting that you say that, and happy to say a strong no, because mostly God, from that perspective, is not a topic during the book of Genesis. A covenant is a topic. And the second mitzvah is circumcision. Third mitzvah, this is the weirdest one. I'm telling you. I say weird. But number 3 is?
Keeping the month, counting the month.
Counting the month. Oh, who was that? Daphna?
Yes.
Daphna?
Yes.
Daphna?
Yes, I'm here.
You are too early to the party. Because that happens in the book of Exodus.
Another one? Okay, sorry.
No. I want, you and I have spoken about that mitzvah of counting the months. We're going to get to that. It's one of the most important mitzvot in the entire Torah, in my opinion. We'll talk about that in a moment. So thank you, Daphna, for bringing that. But the third mitzvah in the book of Genesis is not to eat the sciatic nerve of any animal, as a reminder of the fight that our father Jacob had with the angel. So we finish the book of Genesis with go and multiply, fill the earth, circumcise yourself, don't eat the sciatic nerve or the thigh. That's it. And now we enter the book of Shemot, Exodus. The first 2 Torah portions, silence. Third Torah portion, we will have in this Torah portion, how many mitzvot? You don't want to say numbers anymore, right? Like after like no one wants to say anything. 20 mitzvot in this Torah portion. So there is an incremental growth. And now, because something, the character of the entire Torah is going to change. When you are in a family, you need agreements. You need, conventions with your family, but you don't write down your laws most of the time. You don't have a list in your refrigerator that, in this house we don't eat cottage cheese after 11 p.m. Right? Your children know it. You converse about, do you? Okay, I don't want to enter anybody's household rules, but what I mean is the conversation is different. And now we start having way more laws. And the reason for that is that we are becoming a people. Now, let's pause in a moment, and let's go to mitzvah number 4, which is the one that Daphna reminded to us. By the way, if you want to check mitzvot in a very organized way, the best book to do that is Sefer HaChinuch. It's called the Book of Education. Sefer HaChinuch is a very interesting book that goes one by one in all the mitzvot with lots of explanations. It's very interesting. Now, the fourth mitzvah, the mitzvah of marking the months, Daphna, is a very important one. Any idea why that mitzvah is such an important one? Why does the conversation in which we are going to get, this is the time in which we are going to start talking about mitzvot in a wider way. Why is the first one mark the months? Gabriel.
I think that marking time, it starts with marking Shabbat, and now we're marking, time is the foundation of all of Jewish life.
Thank you, Rabbi Miriam. We'll get to that in a moment. And Gabriel was saying something here. I will repeat him. So all the holidays are related to the marking of time. So the word that surrounds the marking of time and the holidays. Okay, so let me make a quick shortcut to this. Actually, the way in which the calendar starts is actually by marking the months, the new moon. Shabbat becomes a topic a bit later, but it is, of course, the most central thing to our lives in terms of how we acknowledge time. But marking the months is the first thing. And we start with this idea of the lunar calendar. Now, I have mentioned this several times here, and at risk of, no, it's not at risk, knowingly, I will going to repeat myself in this area because I think it's a very important notion. When you want to create a society, the most important thing in order to hold power, in order to distribute that power also, is to control time. If you control time, you control pretty much everything. And therefore, people fight so much over how to distribute different holidays and different days in our tradition. Why is that a reality, at least in my opinion and in the opinion of many Jewish scholars that are wiser than me? Because at the moment that you say, we are going to stop from working at this time, the day is going to start at this time, taxes we are going to pay at this time of the year. At this time of the year, we're all going to show up for Thanksgiving. At this time of the year, we are going to close the building for a week. The moment that you start managing time, you can manage a society. Our day starts at 6 a.m. and it ends at 10 p.m. From 2 to 4, we have siesta, don't bother us, right? Now, all these are important rules. Particularly if you want to create a society that has some religious components. Now, there's an interesting thing about time later on, and it's that we acknowledge the months. How do we declare the beginning of a new month? What does the Talmud explain that we need to do in order to declare the beginning of a new month? And this is when I'm repeating myself. Gabriel, you are saying 2 witnesses. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You are supposed to have 2 witnesses. 2 witnesses are supposed to, later on, we will learn in the rabbinic tradition, 2 witnesses are supposed to show to the Temple Mountain and say, we saw the new moon. And then the chief rabbi, the president of the Sanhedrin, is supposed to say, are you sure? Investigate those witnesses. And once these witnesses are investigated, then they consecrate, because time is sacred in our tradition, we know that from the book of Genesis already, they consecrate the month. What do we say when we consecrate each other in wedding? After you exchange rings. Noga. What? Mekudash, 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 or mekudeshet, mekudeshet, mekudeshet. 3 times, right? Guess from where it comes. Now, it comes from here. When the 2 witnesses go to the Temple Mountain and they say that there is a new month, then the president of the Sanhedrin, the president of the rabbinical court, will say that this month is consecrated. And he will say, or she would say, was he always there? He changed with the time. Mekudash, and then each of the witnesses would say, Mekudash, Mekudash. 3, Mekudash, Mekudash, Mekudash. And that came all the way through to our beings. That's how we consecrate something. That's how we declare the status of something that is sacred. Now, who were these two witnesses? This is the most important component. It could be anyone, Gabriel is saying, which basically means who was supposed to fulfill the mitzvah? Everybody. Everybody was supposed to show up. And that's how you manage a society. That's how you create a society. You create a society or a community by defining that everybody has the obligation to show up. Now, the mitzvah of witnessing the month is one of the most important ones. That's the foundation of the idea for minyan. It's the foundation of the idea for sacredness that we create together as community. And it's the foundation for the idea that there are sacred convocations, that there are sacred times in which we come together. That's how the mitzvot start off for us as a people. Now, how do we represent that today? Well, we show up for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and look at you. You are here in Shabbat because we understand that this is sacred time for us. It starts in this mitzvah. This begins with this mitzvah. Now, let's go to, there are two other mitzvot that I want to explore with you. Mitzvah number 18 in the Torah. What's the meaning of number 18? Life. Hi. Steve, you reminded one mitzvah. What was that mitzvah? Val and Gail are sitting here. They're about to have a child, so this is particularly relevant.
The whole issue with regards to the first four, not only of people, but also of animals.
There's an entire thing about recognizing when we have a childbirth that the first child belongs to God. And then we have all this ceremony, Pidyon Aved, of Ben, and we say Pidyon Aved because it was mainly focused on male kind creatures. Now, there's an entire ceremony surrounding that. Now, what's the meaning behind that ceremony? It feels kind of uncomfortable, almost ridiculous. Like you and your wife or your husband and you or your partner and you are having a child. That child is born, is your first child, and now you need to say that child belongs to God. What's the meaning behind that? Why would you do that? Why would you say that? What would be an important enterprise for the Torah to bring it in as we started off with all these mitzvot? Crickets.
The Dor Vador, to continue the community.
That's why we do circumcision, Gabe. So that works for mitzvah number 2. But it doesn't explain to me, at least, 18. Why it would be, Gabriel is asking me to restate the question. So I would ask again, why would it be an important enterprise for Torah and for God, if you want, or for the writers of this important book for us, to say that the first child needs to be acknowledged, recognized as something that belongs to God? Yes, why? Why shall we? And it's only with the first one. With the rest of them, it's fine. You don't have to do that. Why is that with the first one? Why is that such an important thing? Nothing to do with the plagues. Not that I know, or maybe it's an interesting midrash, because it's coming at the same time. It's an interesting connection, Gabriel. Very interesting midrash. Gabriel is saying it might have to do something with the 10th plague, which is also the death of the firstborn of the Egyptians. Very interesting midrash, very interesting connection. There's actually something in our tradition about it. But I don't think that that's the meaning. Well, because in later developments over it goes in a completely different direction. But there's a very interesting thing that they're coming together in this Torah portion. Absolutely. Responsibility of continuing patriarchy, is saying Melissa, in the context of the blessing of the firstborn, right? It's an insurance policy, I would say, for that legacy to continue. Very interesting take. Any other ideas? It's a common theme, says Gabriel. Well, Gabriel says it's a common theme, not sure what it means. So I will humbly say that I will propose an idea to this. It's the following one. This mitzvah, in this moment in which we are not anymore in the level of personal conversations, and we have not any more stories about a family, but many, many families and a people, I think it reminds something very interesting. It's the mitzvah number 18, means life, and we start thinking about what's the meaning of bringing people to life, and what's the meaning of we being tools in order to bring people to this world. Bringing people to this world, the act of creation, the act of procreation, is a godlike act. And it's very interesting that in one of the most divinely human moments of our lives, we need to say, it's not only about us. There is another component. It's not only about, in this case, considering that Noga is here, we can say it's not only about Noga and Nico delivering a child. It's about having a third component, a magic component, call it the source of all being, the divine component of all creation, that is involved, is a part of this creation. Why is such an important idea? Doesn't it remind you of something else? Very different, but very similar at the same time. Another weird thing we do, how do we say the blessing for bread? Amotzi lechem min haaretz, the one who brings bread from earth, like in a moment in which we see something that we have created, and it's very clear to us that we have created that bread, we say, no, there's a divine component to this as well. Nature has a divine component. It's not only me. I am in the context of nature. Now, the reason I think it's such an important thing is because one of the most important enterprises of the entire Torah is ethical monotheism. And if this child that we are having is only about Noga and me, and only about us, so there is no connection to anyone else. Now, if we say that there's a common denominator to all existence, then we say that this common denominator has a stake in this creation. And I think that this is another reminder of the fact that even when we are co-creators, but that we are all interconnected at the same time. Mitzvah number 3. Now that we have that child, number 3 that I want to discuss, what's mitzvah number 21? I hope it's 21. I need to check it now. I got nervous. I didn't write it in the side. Yes, 21. I want to make sure I have good memory, but it doesn't always work. So what's mitzvah number 21? What? You shall drink. Well, yeah, there are lots of mitzvot in this Torah portion that are related to the Paschal sacrifice, to matzah, and how to eat the sacrifice of Passover. Mitzvah number 21 is the one that we say in Pesach all the time, in Passover, Beigata levincha. You are supposed to tell this story to your children. It's very interesting that acknowledging time and telling stories that come together. Now, what's the importance of telling this to your children? Why shall you tell it to your children? So they can tell it to their children, so they can continue the family business. I want to say something that's a bit more basic. I'm not going to point on you. Like, I did want to hold something, but hold my talent. So what's the importance of telling you to your children? Think for a moment. Remembering. So first, who's the remembering? Gabriel. I will say first, memory. Memory is give me 1 second. Second, Nitza. I'm going to go to history. Fine. You know what? We take history. We take the history component with memory. Memory is selective. We select our memories. So we are choosing that this is the memory that will accompany us. But what's the foundational value behind all this memory? What? Well, Nitza says that we have to recall history. Repeating for everyone. Thank you. I'll take that. I will switch the word, and I will say that I think you are speaking about memory and not history. And the reason for that, because history, it can be always about someone else. And it can be the history of the Assyrians. Memory, I'll take it. It's 1 second. And you see that I go in your direction. Memory is decisive in order to define your identity. Not the identity of your great-grandchildren, but that's a different problem. When you need to navigate your way in the world, not the story that your children hear, but the story that you tell defines who you are. Should I say it again? It's not only about the story that you are telling to your children, the story that you are telling to yourself right now, and how you are saying that story defines who you are right now. This is about identity. At the moment that you need to be in the reflective place of sharing a story, of sharing a narrative, then you are defining yourself. And I think that these are the two most important components of this Torah portion. I want to take the two of them together, and then we're going to go into the reading of this Torah portion. First one, defining time. And defining what are those times in which we come together. What are those times that are sacred for us and that bring meaning to our lives? You know, if you would say in the American society, we all show up for Thanksgiving, well, we just have several other times. And to have them very, very clearly defined as personal responsibility. Who is supposed to show up for those times? The answer is always me. It's never someone else. You show up. You come for Shacharit. You go for Avdallah. You come for Rosh Hashanah. You light the candles for Shabbat. It's always about you. So time defines our identity. And the other thing that is, in my opinion, one of the most important ones is your narrative. The story that you tell. Not the story that you repeat because it's monolithically brought from a previous generation, but the story that you are telling in real time. Because ultimately, it's not going to only shape the next generations, it's going to shape our own life experience. And with that idea, and with that responsibility of being able to tell our story, so we are not up in there, Nitzach, as you were saying, and we are deeply grounded, I invite all of us, all of you, all of us, to think about the stories that we are telling. Shabbat Shalom. Move. Mask can move. Give me 1 second.
Hello? Yamdu, Ephraim ben Rishon, Ephraim ben Acharon, Vefegel, John Goldman, and Benjamin Tema, Zandra, Bat Michael Abraham, B'Malkalea, Melissa Goldman, reading me.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Adonai el Moshe lemor, Kadesh li kol bechor peter, kol rechem, bivnei Yisrael b'yadam, u'bechaymo lihu, vayomer Moshe el ha'am, zachor et chayom chazeh, asher yitzotem, Mitzrayim mi beit abadim ki b'chozeh chotzi Adonai etchem mazeh v'lo yachel chametz hayom atem yotzim b'chodesh ha'aviv v'haya ki haya b'yavacha Adonai el aretz Hakinani, V'hachiti, V'hameor, V'hachivi, V'hayevus, Asher nishpach li'avotecha, V'techlach eretz, Zavash u'chalav, u'devash, V'avatcha, Et havotecha hazot, V'chadeh hazeh.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Yamo Sheni, Fievel ben Shlomo, Felix Levitt, and Moshe ben Abraham Moab Reed. Reading Dr. Gutterman on Zoom. So Zach, please mute her.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
אמן. 7 ימים תאכל מצות, וביום השביעי חג לאדוני. מצות יאכל את 7 הימים, ולא יראה לך חמץ, ולא יראה לך שאור בכל גבולך, והגדת לבנך ביום ההוא לאמור, בעבור זה עשה אדוני לי בצאתי ממצרים, והיה לך לאות על ידך, לזיכרון בין עיניך, למען תהיה תורת אדוני בפיך, כי אדוני ביחד חזקה הוציאך אדוני ממצרים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Yamo Shlishi, Malka Bar Jorge, Mila Tzrilin, and reading will be Nitzachenik. That's all right.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני מברך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. אמן. ושמרת את החוקה הזאת למועדה מימים ימימה, והיה כי אביאך אדוני אל ארץ הכנעני, כאשר נשבע לך ולאבותיך ונתנה לך, והעברת כל פטר רחם לאדוני, וכל פטר שגר בהמה, אשר יהיה לך הזכרים לאדוני, וכל פטר חמור תפדה בשה, ואם לא תפדה וערפתו, וכל בכל אדם בבניך תפדה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. אמן.
Maftir, Yamod, Noga Bat Amos Venera, Noga Sokolowski, and Sidil Rivka Bat Shmuleya, Lila Pesner. Reading, Cantorial Fellow Gabriel Newman.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני מברך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני מבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. והיה כי שלחה בנך מחל לאמור מה זאת, ואמרת אליו וחוזק יד הוצאנו אדוני ממצרים, מבית עבדים, ויהי כי הקשה פרעה לשלחנו, ויהרוג אדוני כל בכור בארץ מצרים, מבכור אדם ועד בכור בהמה. על כן אני זובח אדוני כל פטר רחם הזכורים וכל בכור בני אפדה, והיה לאות על ידך, ולא תטפות בין עיניך, כי בחוזק יד הוצאנו אדוני ממצרים.
אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
We take a moment to acknowledge all those that came up to the Torah in honor of Torah, our congregation. On Shabbat, we say, משברך אבותינו ואמותינו, אברהם יצחק ויעקב, שרה רבקה רחל ולאה. הוא יברך את העולים ואת העולות לתורה. We'll bless all those that came up to the Torah in honor of our congregation. Shabbat. And what we create together. May the merit from the Holy One, blessing of protection, rescue from any trouble or distress, and from any illness, minor or serious. May God send blessing and success in all your endeavors together with all Israel. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen. We also take a moment to acknowledge those that are dealing with illness. We think of those dealing with illness as we still have an open Torah. We think of those dealing with illness in their bodies. We think of those dealing with illness in their souls. We think of those dealing with COVID. We think of those going through addictions. And we think of anyone who is experiencing pain at this moment. We say, משברך אבותינו ואמותינו, אברהם יצחק ויעקב, שרה רבקה רחל ולאה. הוא יברך את החולים, and if you have a name that you'd like to share, please do so. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say,
Amen.
Amen. Now, yes, please rise for Agva and Lila.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים.
It is a tree of life for all those who hold fast to it, and Tomheya, Yushar, and a source of joy.
מחזיקים בה בתומך מאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם.
Return us to you, and we will return to you our days as of in days of old. Take one more moment as we ask to find purpose, as we ask to find connection, as we say Aleinu Leshabeach, we recognize that the path of return starts from within our hearts. We're on page 588. Thank you, John and Laila. To conclude our service, we will turn our Sidurim to page 598 as we acknowledge mourners among our community. We acknowledge those during the first 7 days of mourning Shiva, those during the first 30 days of mourning Shloshim, and so those during the cycle of the first year. We also think of those that have a yortzeit this week.
John Giano.
If you have a name you'd like to share, please do so. You can support our fellows who are standing or sitting. Join us with your voices and your hearts for Kaddish Aveling on page 598.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich machute. Bechayechon uvyamechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam u'lalmei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei dekudesha. Barichu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'ama v'imru. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
May the memories of all your dear ones, all our dear ones, be always a blessing in our lives. Sichram Baruch. May be seated. Conclude our service with Adon Olam on page 625. Shall we do like a ordering melodies for Adon Olam?
I have no idea what you just said.
Like, shall we ask? Do you want to suggest the melody for Adon Olam?
No.
No, so we go to whatever works for us.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem kol Yetzir Nivra. Never mind. Le'ed Nasa V'cheso kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra. Azai Melech Shemo Nikra. Modulate. Ki chol Hakol לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובר, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד
בית שלי, להמשילו, להכבירה, ולי ראשית, ולי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחגואלי, וצור חפני ועת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אביא רוחי, ועת תשען והעירה, והים רוחי, גבי אותי, אדוני לי, ולא יירא,
אדוני לי, ולא יירא.
אדוני יעוז לעמו איתם, אדוני יברך את עמיו בשלום, שבת שלום everyone. That was challenging.
You could have modulated at any point.
I could, but I didn't. I thought it was an interesting challenge to remain in that game.
Okay.